start recording yet?
No. So,
Catching.
what we got here is
A 1978 K20 Cheyenne.
yes, Cheyenne. And what we're doing right now is we need to change out, or we had to take out the steering gearbox because it leaked like a sieve. So, since we're doing that, we're going to reinforce the frame with a kit
We bought from Rough Country.
The instructions are awful. So, if you have half a mind about how to install things, you should be able to figure this out on your own. I have half a mind, so I'm good.
And I got a quarter, so we're almost there.
Right. So basically, we're just going to kind of walk you through how we're going to do this and the best way to not screw it up.
Now, we've already gone through and removed the steering box, which we've already had a problem with the input shaft seal, which was leaking. So we're also going to be adding on how to replace that input shaft seal.
Also, one thing, get a spanner wrench.
So if you look in here, the person who's replaced this last time just took a... Did it stop?
Couldn't tell. No, it's been recording.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, right.
The person who replaced this last went ahead and just grabbed a screwdriver and a hammer to hammer this out. The right tool for the right job
Goes a long way.
goes a long way. Otherwise, when you got to do this again, you screw yourself.
Yeah, so now we get to try to fix that. Anyways, we're going to start by taking the tire off. We didn't record the sketchy part, which was getting this on a jack stand. So, you're missing out on that one. Dude, these things grab no thread.
Yeah. Not the correct.
We need, yeah,
Yeah.
either new studs or a different wheel.
Different wheel for 37s anyway. So.
Right. Well, and then we're going to do, I think, a 3.5 inch backspace.
Yeah. Pop it out. By the time we-
You're probably going to get stuck with a 0 offset, which is a 4 inch.
Well, we already picked out the wheel.
Oh, okay.
So these method ones that we picked out, they have a 3.5 inch offset. We need to figure out if that's going to be too much, because with the 1250 wide, we need to rotate this and take some measurements to see. Reason why I want that deeper offset, bring this tire out further, so we can keep our turning
The
radius.
ultimate plan is to have 37s under this truck.
Which means we get a hack and whack and add all kinds of cool stuff. So this started out, or Josh.
Come on in, Josh. Josh is a family friend. He's been helping. So this is mine
Go
and
ahead, tell
Dustin's
him.
father's truck. And this has been his project for a while now. And Josh has been helping since day one on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I showed up and it was sitting out in the backfield there and was kind of like, hey, what's going on with that old Chevy? And his dad was like, well, you know, I might have wiped the cam lobe. And we fired it up, got it running, and it ran pretty poor. It was probably cam lobe. Anyway, so Dustin's buddy had a motor, drove up. Was it Vancouver?
Yep.
Grabbed the motor from him, took it back here, refreshed it. Didn't refresh it, just looked it over, pulled it apart, checked it out. Put it in here, and at that point, Brian had gone in love. He was ready to see his old 78 back. So, project started from there. Just trying to get things back running again, and snowballed?
Yeah. I think Snowball's right.
Yeah, we put a 4-inch lift from Rough Country in it.
Which was Dad literally sitting in the chair going, oh, you know, we ought to put a on this thing.
So,
Lift.
lifted. That was a hassle. Hey, that was my armrest.
Was your armrest.
That's what I have to deal with every day.
So, yeah, so we got this, and then this turned into going from these tires to running 37s, and then we're going to, you know, just snowball from there. Anyways, look in here. This is what we got. Greasy, nasty, dirty, gross, everything. We're going to pre-fit this piece here. I got to move some stuff out of the way, obviously, to make this thing fit. But we will definitely, I guess it goes right here. So this has to get relocated. I've got to break this off. and then clean all this up to accept the welds, because that's the key to this. This is going to require welding. So if you don't know how to weld, find somebody that does, and really find somebody qualified to do it. Don't just be like, my buddy's got a stick welder at home with some 6011 shit he'll burn it in, and then you come home with popcorn, and you might as well just left it the stock frame. All right, what do we need here? That looks like it'll be about 9/16.
This is a 1978.
This truck has had metric all over it.
Metric
Dude,
shouldn't have started until 80s.
Over it.
When I did the front suspension change out, there was not a single matching bolt. Oh, one.
Somebody's gone through this
That's
truck
not
and
wrong.
jacked
Yeah,
it.
that's fair. But I pulled metric out of this truck in the weirdest places.
Now I don't.
Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay, remember that.
That's why we said half a brain, not a full brain.
Yeah.
I did say that.
Now,
Why did they get up?
on these square bodies, Chevy didn't start mixing metric with standard
What?
until the 80s.
What?
I don't know the exact year.
Yeah.
Probably about the time they went with the square headlights. Okay. Get up there.
So what is that line, Dustin?
Brakes.
Brakes? We don't need brakes. Cut them out.
Yeah, brakes are for. Yeah, brakes are for safety-minded folk. All right, now let's take that out.
Mirrors are broken, so he can't see that problem. Need another light?
Yeah, I just need a 3/4 inch wrench.
Here's a light.
By the way, these lights, these are amazing.
Harbor Freight.
Harbor
$22.
Freight. And don't let your friends tell you that Harbor Freight is garbage and you can't use them. You don't need that negativity in your life.
Preaching fact.
Harbor Freight has 3 standards of quality. Garbage, not so garbage, and better garbage.
Pretty much. Get on there.
And there goes the bumper. Probably need to take this front one off just to get this out
Yeah, I'm
of the
just
way.
trying to get everything.
Yeah, where's it attached up right here?
Oh, okay.
And that looks like a 3/4. Need an extension. Oh, my God. Mine's better than yours. I cheated though. You already have it. I'll show you what not to do.
Oh, there's a extension right there.
Ah, I must have left it there. Oops.
Ah!
So what he's removing, that's the bumper mount that was in our way. We'll figure it out once we get.
Yeah, because what side went to what? Ooh. Oh. Actually, follow the trail of the grease, it'll tell you.
That's not grease.
I give it a non-chlorinated.
We can afford good stuff. Not really. We're broke. We just like to pretend we can afford the good
Yeah.
stuff.
Love this stuff.
Here, Dustin.
Baby drag or what?
Yeah, we'll need a rag.
Oh God. So like you said, he's over here prepping for welding. That's why they're NERPA blue. Now what are you doing?
Well,
Test fitting?
yeah, because these holes don't exactly line up. But what I want to do is I want to clamp this and I want to trace around it so I can know where to take paint off.
Yep.
So what I need is my clamps.
You have clamps? I didn't think you had clamps.
Cole, you're going to have to hold that up there while I clamp this. that's what we got so far.
Here, let me see
Now,
this thing.
I'm going to have to, you can see,
Here, switch sides. I'm gonna poke this up in there.
so we got these two bolts lined up through here. These two are off. So what I'll do is I'll mark the back side of this, and we'll open those up with a burr bit. This is a plug weld, so you've got three plug welds, one here, and one here. So what we want to do is we want to start by clamping this tight here to see how far over that's going to stretch before we move any further. Then what I'll do is I'll take and I'll trace the outline here so I can remove any of this grime and paint, so it makes it a lot easier for me to get something to weld to.
And I want to apologize. I'm a new camera guy.
Okay, so I got this thing plug welded there and tacked where I want it. Now, I've got some more beating to do to get this to seat down into this valley. This bracket isn't quite formed as deep as the frame is. So to get a good bond, I'm going to heat this up. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, you shouldn't heat your metal, you shouldn't heat your metal. Well, what do you think welding does? It heats the metal. So all I'm going to do is get this closer so you don't have that air gap between your frame and your stiffening plate. The tighter fit you can get, the more strength you're going to gain out of it. So we're going to do a little bit more heat and beat. I'm going to clean this up, plug weld this, and then we'll stitch weld this into place and move on to the bottom plate.
All right.
Alright, so I got the whole thing prepped. We got these sucked down tight. Now I've got enough room here where I can get a good bite for a plug weld in these two holes. However, this is too far inset to get a good plug weld without burning away this material. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to heat this up and I'm going to move that material in this valley toward the frame. Subsequently, it'll pull these out. I'll do the same. I'll hammer or clamp these closer to the frame so I can get a good tack weld on it. Fire. Oh,
Well, come on.
fire.
Even cavemen had better chime than you do.
Okay, so as you can see, I don't know if you can see this or not, but right in here we got a little bit of hammer marks. It's probably not a big deal, but I like to clean that up so that way when we paint it, it doesn't look like a homemade haircut. You know, we're putting the work in, so I might as well put that extra work in. Key is safety glasses. If you've ever had metal scraped out of your eye, you'll know not to mess around with these. Not the prettiest, and it'll get covered by the gearbox, but I like to do a little bit of something extra so it's not so bad. Now I could step this down and make it all clean with a heavier grit and step it up, you know, down to like 120, or use that polishing pad. In fact, give me that polishing pad. These are invaluable. Alright, now this portion is ready to be welded. Now somebody in the comments is going to mention, why try to cover up grinding hammer marks with grinding marks? But because I can.
Filler primer. It's all going to get covered up in the end
Hopefully with mud.
by this thing caked in mud and rock.
Now, the instructions recommend you just stitch weld it. Now honestly, this is all the more welding you're going to need to do. You've got 4 bolts. You're going to get sucked tight through here. You know, you got 3 plug welds. Everything's good to go. So now we'll move on to the bottom one. Now you can add more stitch welding in different locations if you want. The instructions give you kind of a vague guideline of how and where you need it. But, you know, if you understand metalwork and you understand the relationship of how this gearbox works with your frame, you'll see that where I have my stitches placed is everywhere that's not going to be compressed by the gearbox and the hardware. So, it should be okay. Now I'll get this thing raised up. We'll show you the fitment of the bottom plate, and then we'll call this one all good.
Now, as you see right over here, this is another project that I had started that we're going to go ahead and finish with the camera, and at some point we will be walking through and explaining what all we've done to this. This is my camp trailer, 6x10. Dad came to say hi. Say hi, Dad. Lily! That's our inspector.
Hi, Lily.
She's making sure, well, I don't think she can see anything. Let's get a light so they can see. We got 2 more sitting right there.
Alright, so you can see this. We went ahead and prepped here. This was where the factory sway bar was. We went ahead and deleted it because who needs a sway bar? But this lower plate isn't exactly a great fit with the forming, so you're going to need to put a clamp on here. You got these two holes to line up for your factory rivets for your cross member. And what we'll do is, like we did on the other one, I'll stitch and tack till I get this thing tight to the frame, and then we'll do our stitch welding to complete it. So let's get that started right now.
Here, hand me another light. We'll figure something out. These lights are great. I love them. So while that's drying,
Watch your eyes, Dad.
We'll we got a little pigtail up there. Oh, I know.
Okay, Cole, you want to do a walk around?
Yep, working on it right now. So what he did is when he went ahead and stitch welded just like before. Obviously you can see. Obviously don't mess with the factory rivets. That's not a spot to plug weld. Nice and clean, everything's tight for the frame. So what's next?
Well, paint. We gotta let it cool. We're gonna go ahead and paint it up. Some flat black, you know, good old rattle can. Then on our next video, we're going to replace the seal on the gearbox and reinstall it. Then you're gonna come along with me for a shakedown run, so we can cycle the suspension, get it worked out, bring it back into the shop, put it on the lift, get everything tightened down, and make sure that portion of this build is A-okay.
So what ended up happening with the steering box was we went to go pull the snub shaft out so we could replace the seal, but the worm gear had seized the snub shaft and all the bearings fell out of the worm gear when it came out. So we ended up pulling it, the whole thing apart, rebuilding it, getting it all back together, getting the seal in. When we went to go pull it off, it seized. So we ended up, long story short, we ended up with a brand new steering box, a brand new power steering pump and reservoir, and then we got that installed, went on test drive, worked great, and then all the files corrupted. When I went to go upload the video onto the computer, it just corrupted. So we're going to redo the test drive, but we're not going to take apart the steering box again. So sorry about that. Sometimes technology just doesn't work in our favor.
Alright guys and gals, that's how we installed our steering stiffener kit from Rough Country. If you have any comments or questions, you know, comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. We have plenty more on the horizon, and hopefully you guys can join us in this journey of figuring stuff out together. Cole?
It was a clean job, went well. Stitch welding has no problems.
Now we get a huff paint.
Thank you for watching R&R Garage as we take this project to the next level.